On May 1st, 1971, after a hunting trip, Bobby and his brother Dan rushed home after hearing his wife, Elizabeth, scream in terror. Startled by the movement in the kitchen curtain, Elizabeth witnessed a hairy hand pushing through the screen, which is what made her holler. Bobby and Dan, hearing her distress, sprinted to the house to find the huge, hairy beast with its hand through the kitchen window. Armed with a shotgun, Bobby and Dan bolted outside and fired several shots. Forcing the creature to retreat into the dark, marshy lands. Later that night, the creature returned. Bobby heard the boards creaking outside, got up and confronted it. However, before he could get a shot off, the beast charged and overpowered him, causing gash wounds across his back. Dan quickly jumped in, shooting at the creature, allowing Bobby to escape by crashing through the front door. Bobby was taken to the St. Michael Hospital in Texarkana and treated for large gash wounds across his back. He was also suffering from mild shock when he arrived. Although no blood was found, except Bobby's, 3-toed footprints, deep scratches on the porch and siding, and a severely damaged window hinted at the encounter's intensity. The Fords, frightened by the incident, moved out the next day after living just a week in the house. Whatever happened on that night the Fords encountered this thing, it scared the shit out of them. In the quiet little town of Folk, Arkansas, a population of around 800, lives a sizable creature that's seen from time to time, mostly in the rural parts by hunters. It has several names: the Jonesville Monster, the Boggy Creek Monster, the Folk Monster, and the Swamp Stalker. I like that one. The OG name, the Folk Monster, came from a local reporter for the Texarkana Gazette, Jim Powell. Just so you have an idea of where Folk is, it's roughly 150 miles southwest of Little Rock and 50 miles north of Shreveport, Louisiana. So, the boonies. Being that far away from civilization with tens of thousands of acres of uninhabited swampland, shit, anything could be out there. And they wouldn't have a fucking clue. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Thank you. It's a small dot on the map that most people probably wouldn't look twice at as they drove by. The nearest big city is Texarkana, straddling the Texas-Arkansas border. It's your typical small town with businesses dotting the main road through town. Though sightings of what's also been called the Arkansas Bigfoot have slowed down considerably since 1971, they haven't stopped. Folk monster encounters still occur every year. The Boggy Creek Monster is described as between 7 and 10 feet tall, with long, thick, sometimes matted hair. The reported color varies from black to brown to reddish brown. The red ones must have been in the sun too long. It's been reported by many to have red eyes the size of silver dollars. Most have said you can tell it's nearby by its foul stench. It's described as a mix between a skunk and a wet dog. Hey, I've learned sometimes a skunk smell can be a good thing. A lot of folks have said its skin looks very ape-like, and it stands up and walks like a human with long arms. Many folks describe it as having a galloping gait and swinging its arms like an ape. It has 3 toes on each foot. The folk monster is said to weigh between 300 and 800 pounds. Some say it has a cry similar to a peacock. Others say it's more of a human-like roar or scream. One witness said it made a loud gong-like sound. Its diet consists of wild birds, chickens, wild pigs, calves, and dogs. Even though the 1971 sighting is what really shined a spotlight on the cryptid, it was spotted before that. Long before that. The first sighting of what would later be called the Fouke Monster was in 1834, when folks started to report a large, hairy, wild man lurking about in the Arkansas woods. Then, in 1851, the Memphis Inquirer published a story about a large, furry creature seen in the area. In 1856, the Caddo Gazette had a report of a similar creature. The Daily Arkansas Gazette had an article in 1910 about a strange beast loose in the area near Spring Lake Park in Texarkana. The sightings died down until the 1940s, when things started to ramp back up again. According to the website folkmonster.net, they have several sightings listed. Here are some of the reports I thought stood out. In 1941, 2 brothers were fishing in Boggy Creek when they heard a noise. They looked up to see a large, hairy, ape-like creature grab their stringer holding their fish they had already caught and walk the fuck off with it. Rude! A man saw a large, hairy, ape-like creature near his house on Boggy Creek in 1955. He shot at it 15 times with a rifle, but apparently missed. Sights must be off. Also in 1955, an experienced hunter-trapper sees a large gorilla-like creature while fishing in a river. It appeared to be washing its hands before it walked off on 2 legs into the trees. 1965, a teenage boy encounters a hairy man or ape-like beast near a lake on his family's property. It was described as 7 feet tall with reddish-brown hair, about 4 inches long all over its body. It stood upright like a man, but had extra long arms. As the thing approached, he fired at it with his shotgun 3 times and then noped the fuck out of there. 1968. A woman sees an upright, ape-like creature twice in the early morning hours. It was first seen eating scraps from a hog pen, and later seen licking food remnants from a dog bowl. She described it as having hair all over its body, with a flat brown nose and canine teeth like a dog or a baboon. 1969. A man and his family were driving on Highway 71 at night when they spotted what they thought was a man in a fur coat walking towards them on the opposite side of the road. When they got closer, they realized it was not a man in a coat, but instead some kind of thing covered in hair. You already know about the Ford's encounter. We covered that earlier. But there were a lot of other ones in 1971. 3 people see a tall, hairy creature with red eyes during the evening hours. It appeared to be squatting on an embankment at the edge of the woods across the street from their home. A family first hears some strange howls, then sees a Sasquatch-like creature walk from the woods. They were parked at one of the Mercer Bayou boat ramps, preparing to go boating. 3 nearby campers came out of their trailer with shotguns, but didn't shoot the creature. It only hung out for a moment before running back into the woods. As the excitement grew, a Little Rock radio station, KAAY, offered a reward of $1,090 to anyone who could find the monster. I'm guessing 1090 is the radio frequency. A possible juvenile encounter happened in 1973. A local man, known to be a skeptic, sees a 4-foot-tall, hairy, bipedal creature creep across the field early one morning. It was an Ewok. 1974. 2 brothers are driving their truck one evening in Dodd Ridge when an ape-like creature jumps into their trailer and begins thrashing about. The men stopped the truck and bailed, and the creature fled into the woods. 1974. A hunter sees a large bipedal creature covered in black hair suddenly step out of the woods and start to cross the road. When it realized the hunter was there, it stopped and made eye contact. In 1984, a local hunter was walking into the Sulphur River Wildlife Management Area when a horse and 4 cows came running up the hill toward him. The man backtracked in the direction they were fleeing from, and when he reached a swampy area, he could see a large creature, at least 7 feet tall, with long, dark brown hair all over its body. It was standing on 2 legs, thigh deep in the swamp, some distance away. 1986. A local landowner was driving a representative from Miller Brewing Company to a wheat field located on his property. Upon reaching the back gate, the landowner stopped the truck and got out to unlock it. At that point, he noticed a tall, hair-covered figure walking towards them, approximately 80 to 100 yards away. When the creature saw the men, it immediately turned and headed towards the trees near Boggy Creek. 1990. 2 men from Oklahoma smell a pungent odor while driving on Highway 71. One of them farted. They pull over and see a tall man-like creature covered in shaggy black hair running toward the south bank of the Sulphur River. The creature was described as walking upright, just like a human, not like a bear or gorilla. Also in 1990, near Ogden, a man was walking down a gravel road near his home at about 8:15 to 8:30 p.m., headed for a good and dependable fishing hole. At this time in June, it doesn't get dark until after 9 p.m. or so, and there was plenty of light left. He had stopped briefly in the middle of the road, deciding which hole to try first, then started walking again. He heard a sound, and off to his right was a reddish-brown creature heading in his direction. It was no less than 7 feet tall and probably a good bit more. It was heading at an angle, so he got a good side view, but no facial or other features. The creature got as close as 25 to 30 feet before turning away at the last minute. He said that it was a massive creature, and the arms were swinging fully extended to the front and then the back as it ran. He also told the arms were hung well below the knees. When witnessed later, he was asked whether the creature was running at him to try to scare him or if it was just running through the woods, maybe chasing prey, and happened to see him at the last second. Neither of those scenarios made sense to him at the very moment it happened. But after thinking about it, either scenario was a possibility. He saw no prey that he recalled, and his gut sense was that the creature was just running through the woods and saw a human at the last second and swerved. Just random weird shit. He stood there in shock for a few moments, trying to understand what happened, then decided to head back home and not press his luck. The witness was aware of Sasquatch prior to the event, but had never sought out information. He is a very grounded individual and is acutely aware of all the known wildlife in the area. 1993. 5 people, 2 men in a truck, a couple in a car, and a man in a semi-truck, traveling on Highway 71 at approximately 2 a.m., stopped their vehicles to observe a large, hairy animal standing on the side of the road. The creature stood approximately 100 yards from the witnesses and was described as being ape-like, yet it moved on 2 legs like a man. After observing the growing crowd of people for a few moments, it turned and darted into the woods, running fast on 2 legs. 1996. A truck driver was traveling north on Highway 71 at night when his eyes were drawn to a tall, dark shape standing near the Sulphur River. At first, he believed it to be a dead tree trunk, but then he noticed the shape had 2 red eyes reflecting back in the headlights. Suddenly, the tree began walking away from the riverbank towards the woods. 2000. A bow hunter sees a big black figure approaching his tree stand before dawn. The creature reached up and grabbed his arrow with a large black hand, very similar to the hand of a gorilla. Also in 2000, a coon hunter encounters a hairy creature of immense size late at night while hunting with his dog. It made a hissing sound and splashed water on the hunter while making deep, throaty sounds. 2009. A wildlife photographer witnessed something run across the road in the afternoon at a location between Smith Park and Long Slough Boat Ramp. She described it as being tall, covered in hair, and running on 2 legs. It bounded the road in a few short steps and disappeared into the woods. I find that one interesting because she's a wildlife photographer and still didn't know what it was. 2011. A nearby resident sees a large bipedal creature with dark fur standing next to a hay bale as she drove down a county road late one evening. As the car approached, the creature suddenly darted across the road, running very fast on 2 legs. The creature came within 3 or 4 feet of the car, causing the driver to hit the brakes before it disappeared into the brush on the other side of the road. 2013. While gathering firewood near Dodd Ridge, a local resident surprised a 4-foot-tall bipedal ape-like creature, presumably a baby Bigfoot, as it made a moaning cry in the woods. When the creature ran, the witness attempted to follow, but lost sight as it ran into the murky water and dense cypress trees of the bayou. I don't think I would have followed it. I don't want to meet its mama. A couple driving south of Smackover, 65 miles from Folk, saw a tall, upright animal dart into the woods around 11 p.m. The couple described it as being very large, at least 6 to 7 feet tall, and definitely not human. Its eyes reflected in the headlights before it ran off with a swiftness that was way too quick for a human. 2021. A witness reports seeing a hairy, ape-like creature run across the county road during daylight hours. He described it as looking like an orangutan with reddish hair. A few days after the witness saw the red-colored animal, a researcher saw what appeared to be a large red animal move through the woods near Mercer Bayou during daylight hours. Skeptics have attempted to debunk the legend, suggesting that these encounters may have been the result of a large, misidentified animal, like a black bear. Black bears do inhabit the area and can stand on their hind legs for a short period of time. Some of them can even take 2, maybe 3 steps on their back legs. They're sizable animals. On their hind legs, they stand 6 feet and weigh in at 300 to 400 pounds. Other naysayers claim that it's all a hoax, mainly to drive tourism to the sleepy little town. The tracks that were cast around the Ford's house shortly after the attack were taken to an expert for analysis. Archaeologist Frank Schambach claimed that there was a 99% chance that the tracks were man-made. He said that the tracks couldn't be from an ape because all primates, well, all that we know of, have 5 toes. There was no history of primates in the area, and apes are active only in the daytime, not nocturnal as the folk monster appeared to be. It's worth noting that there were a few confirmed hoaxes around this time. In one incident, 3 men claimed the creature attacked them, and they had evidence in the form of scratch marks. However, the sheriff who investigated the story didn't buy it after noticing the men had blood under their fingernails. They ended up getting fined $59 each for making a false report. Dumbasses. On the flip side, cryptozoologists propose that the creature might be a yet undiscovered species, possibly a type of large ape or hominid, or a combination of both, given the reported physical characteristics described by witnesses. Others suggest that the creature could be a surviving population of prehistoric species thought to be extinct. In the secluded enclave of folk where the spectral echoes of May 1st, 1971 still resonate, the mystique of the Boggy Creek monster casts an awe-inspiring aura over the Arkansas swamplands. Immersed in the tales of encounters and sightings, my belief in the folk monster's existence becomes an unwavering conviction. The folk monster, its formidable silhouette veiled in mystery and its eyes aglow with an otherworldly intensity, beckons believers to embrace the enigmatic. For me, its existence is irrefutable. With so many people reporting the same thing in the same area, it's hard to deny. Witnesses have the evidence, photos, footprints, and audio recordings. And the testimonies aren't from crazy people living in the sticks. They're well-liked, respectable, and responsible people. Good, honest, down-home folks with nothing to gain by telling a bullshit story. Through the lens of believers like myself, there is a reluctance to rationalize sightings as mere misidentifications or hoaxes. Instead, the gaze is one of reverence, a window into undiscovered realms where the folk monster emerges as a living entity, elusive and unclassified. As a storyteller entrenched in belief, I lean toward that elusive sweet spot where reality and myth merge together, where real-life encounters go far beyond ordinary circumstances. The town of Folk, with its close-knit community and vast natural surroundings, becomes a special and significant place. The Boggy Creek monster is portrayed as an elusive, mysterious force that leaves its mark, creating an atmosphere of mystique and wonder. Regardless of whether the Boggy Creek monster is seen as a manifestation of shared beliefs or a tangible protector of the swamps, it leaves a lasting impression on those who believe in its existence. The creature, whether real or symbolic, has a profound impact on individuals who hold a strong belief in its existence, contributing to a lasting and meaningful experience for those who share this conviction. Within the captivating charm of this small city, the folk monster goes beyond being a mere legend. Instead, it transforms into a cherished symbol representing our steadfast faith in mysteries and unexplored wilderness, encouraging us to embrace the fascination of a realm where the boundaries between reality and mysterious phenomena blur, allowing us to immerse ourselves in the enchanting atmosphere of the bayou's unknown secrets. You know what time it is. I want to give you a Boggy Creek Bigfoot thank you for watching this far into my video. Dude, I'm so flattered you made it to this point in my video. You make recording these worth all the effort. Once again, thank you. And until next time, stay creepy!